getting your hands and feet in the soil. Yeah. It is something about going out there early in the morning, and I would talk to the deer because they would be on the other side of the fence. I knew they wanted to get in just as much as I did. Right? But I would talk to them. I would talk to the plants every morning. I would talk to the possum and the groundhogs that were trying to eat my stuff. Right? And said, listen here, I planted enough that you can have some and I can have some too. There is truly, when we think about what is happening right now in our system, when we look at food, Reverend Wilson and I used to talk all the time about what's happening to our food. You go to Safeway, you go to Giant, you go to all these various places. When was the last time your tomato saw the vine when you buy it at the store? You wonder why when you get a freshly picked tomato, it tastes a different kind of way. Why? Because when it's picked and it's in the safe way, it was picked, who knows even what shade of green it was when it was picked. And they use a special gas to make it ripen. But when God ripens it on the vine, right? It's something totally different. People say, well, I can't stand okra. Yeah, but when you get okra that's freshly picked, the taste is something totally different. So there's so many things that you can do, not just the canning, but then when we look at how can you go even further, and then you might start juicing, right? And the sister talked about how she has all these greens, and all of us know that when you eat greens, most of the time you take the stem out, right? You don't want that big stem. Well, I take that stem and I juice it, because all of the juice in a collard green or kale or mustard is in that stem, in that stalk of the broccoli. And I juice that. And when you juice it, oh, that flavor, that taste. And then you don't stop there. Once you juice it, at the back end of the juicer, you get all that pulp. You use that too. You steam that. You put that inside a turkey meatloaf or whatever else you're doing, the carrot pulp. There's so many things that we can do, and we need to start. Because the reality is, I read an article this morning talking about what's going to happen in 2023 and what they expect to happen with our food supply. We need to be getting together. We need to do what the sister did and find whatever plot of land, find some pots and start growing, figure out ways to start canning. So simple. Not difficult at all. You don't can, you can dehydrate. I dehydrate stuff too. I freeze. I figure out a way. Anyone who's come to my house knows I have 2 freezers in my garage. Why? I don't do that much. But you never know. And also, whenever I know that somebody's hungry or needs something, they know, my neighbor said, we know where we can all eat. Because I make sure that I have enough for everyone. Because nowadays our foods, what are they putting on our vegetables? You're talking about all the pesticides and the fertilizers and the this and the that and the debugging and all of those things. And we don't know what we're eating. It doesn't even taste the same. So I encourage you to join us and to even join the farm. Come out, put your hands in that dirt. Many of you don't know, there's some beautiful cherry trees on the side of the church. I'm telling a secret, I don't really want y'all to come out there because I love picking those cherries off of that tree. Some of you know that the Rainier cherries, the red and the yellow ones, that cost $8.99, sometimes a pound. Union Temple has Rainier cherry trees and Bing cherry trees right over here. We can do for ourselves. We can take care of each other. People get very upset about, oh, what is the president doing? We don't need to care about the president. We don't need to care about the government. If I care about you, if you care about her, and we care about each other, we got us. We got us. And that's what we need to do. So the canning really, trust me when I tell you, even if your grandmother or great-grandmother or great-auntie didn't do it, it's like quilting. You start doing it, you hear, it might not be your direct ancestors, but you hear and feel them in the things that you do. I also brought with me, when we talk about juicing, and with COVID, you hear so much about anti-inflammatories and all kinds of other things, health benefits. People are eating sea moss now, and elderberry juice, and a number of other things. Well, many of you know also that our ancestors used to make things that healed us. We see on TV about CVS doesn't have any more medicine for children. My grandmother didn't go to CVS and get medicine for me. So one of the things, and I love to read and find out about some of the holistic things that I can do. And so this, and I have, after the evening is done, if anyone is interested in trying this, I made it for you to try. This is fresh ginger and fresh turmeric, and many people now put turmeric in things but don't know what turmeric looks like. This is fresh turmeric. What whole fresh turmeric looks like. And so this is also turmeric, and it's cinnamon sticks, and mint, and lemon, and spring water, and some homegrown mint, and some raw honey. And you let it steep, and you pull from it, and you strain it to get, and when you drink it, if you know the pepperiness of ginger, that spiciness, you can feel it going down. I drink this cold, but I also drink it hot. Sometimes I take this, and instead of having a regular cup of tea, I heat this up. And then I put a tea bag in this. And it's delicious. Put your green tea bag in a cup of this. But we have to start doing things for ourselves. Many of you buy pineapples. How many of you use the pineapple skin? The peel of the pineapple. You can take that pineapple and clean it really well, and then put it in a pot of water and boil that skin and get some turmeric and cut a couple of slices of that. Put some ginger in there too. Maybe even a little bit of pepper, because when you use fresh turmeric, it's great to actually activate it with a little bit of pepper. And pineapple skin is excellent for digestion. So when you have an upset stomach, don't reach for the Tums. Don't reach for all the Pepsids and all those other things. That's what the pineapple skin is for. Because we don't know what else are they putting in these drugs. Has anybody read or heard? I also heard on TV this morning that a medication that they use for diabetes, they found works good to do something else in your system. Hello? Hello? Is that not scary for anyone? It is for me. It is for me. I want to live and live healthy. Rev talks about living abundantly. We have to live abundantly and not depend on just what the doctors tell us. Many of us remember Brother Babe. Brother Babe would preach it. So we have to start doing it. So Brother Jose and the garden, my sister always works in the garden. We are going to be doing a lot of things. Come out, help. Help. I love cooking, so sis But God bless all of you. I just really hope that as you do things, you know, so many times now I hear, oh, times are different, times have changed. All change isn't good. All change isn't good. There's a reason why our great-grandparents were able to make it with so little. And now it requires so much. Because we spend and spend and spend, but you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. So after tonight, I don't want to keep standing here because I can talk a long time. But know that if anyone would like to try some of the ginger tea, I have cups, more than willing to share with you. And I look forward to us getting together and not only growing some things, but canning and freezing and preserving some things. Because it's not just for you. Sometimes you don't know who it's for. I don't know who I'm doing it for. But it's sure enough I'll get a phone call from somebody that they need something. Well, I got it. So God bless you. And let's bless each other.
Habari Gani. All right, so hopefully they can pull up my slides. I'm apologizing in advance because, so my name is Ashley. I'm from the Black Church Food Security Network. There are my slides. We take the vacation for the week of and the week after the holidays, right? So when I came in today, the gentleman greeted me. And he said, Habari Gani. I said, Ujama. He said, wait a minute. He said, that's not today. So you know that period in between Christmas and New Year's where you don't know what the day or time is and you're just eating everything, that's where I am. So please give me some grace. All right, awesome. So like I said, my name is Ashley Drakeford. I am a market organizer for the Capital Market, and I'm also the ARC program director for the Black Church Food Security Network, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that means later. So the title of my presentation today, sorry, go back for me really quick. If you build it, they will come, right? So reaffirming churches and gathering places for community and health. So today's the third day of Kwanzaa, and our principle is Ujima, right? So collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our community's problems our problems and to solve them together. That's what my life is about. That's all I do. You can go to the next slide. So I am a market organizer for the Capital Market. I'm an urban gardener. I'm a food justice advocate. I'm a radical social justice activist, right? So what does that mean, radical social justice activist? Well, some say Jesus was the most radical social justice activist, right? He was flipping over tables, right? And so sometimes when people think about radical social justice, they think of activists blocking the highways, right? That's not necessarily, I guess that can be part of it, but that's not necessarily my approach, right? We think of more creative strategies. And so as I mentioned, I am a market organizer and market manager for the Capital Market. And we are a farmer's market for us, by us, and in our neighborhood, right? And so at the Capital Market, we operate in healthy food priority zones in Prince George's County. And so we have farmers markets in Capitol Heights and Suitland, in the Suitland neighborhoods, who have little to no access to grocery stores in that neighborhood. I also am a 6th generation Prince George's County resident, right? So that means that I can trace my history back to before slavery in Prince George's County. And that's important when I introduce myself because I have to give honor to my ancestors. And I am their wildest dream, and the work that I do is only possible because they enter the room before I get there. I'm also the art program director, as I mentioned, of the Black Church Food Security Network, where ARC stands for Assembling Our Resources for Community Sustainability, right? And so probably every program in our organization probably thinks that they have the best function, but I really have the best function because I get to work with Black farmers, right? And if any of you all have farmers as your friends, they will make you jams and jellies, you know, those value-added foods. I have a farmer that is right down the street from me. I get to go and pick my own eggs, right? This summer, one of the farmers I work with, they actually let me slaughter a chicken. And you know, one of the things they say is if you can eat it, you gotta know how to kill it too, right? So that wasn't something that I shied away from. And so I kind of came to this work, just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, I kind of came to this work as a food justice advocate from smelling strawberries. It was one summer, probably around 2016, 2015, and I had purchased some strawberries. I think I was gonna make some strawberry shortcake, right? So I purchased some strawberries, and the next day I was walking and I saw a farmer's market. And I'm outside of the farmer's market, and I could smell the strawberries that the farmers had set up on their stands. I could literally smell them. I wasn't at the tables. And so when I got there, I tasted those strawberries compared to the ones that I purchased at the grocery store the night before, and it was no comparison at all. And so from then, I started going to the farmer's market every week. I started to participate in the Cottage City Community Garden, and then we started the Capital Market. I helped with a community garden in District Heights, Maryland, 2 of their community gardens there, and my sister and I started a garden at our church, Gethsemane United Methodist, in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Awesome. You can go to the next slide, please. So here's a quote from President Julius Nyerere, please forgive my pronunciation, who was the president of Tanzania after they gained their independence from British rule. And what he said was, "It is obvious that in the past, we have chosen the wrong weapon for our struggle because we chose money as our weapon. We are trying to overcome economic weakness by using the weapons or the economically strong weapons, which in fact we do not possess," right? And so if you are familiar with Bell Hooks, she says the master's tools will not destroy the master's house, right? And so, you know, we realize that we're coming at this problem of food insecurity or changing the world all wrong. And a lot of times when we talk about where we need to go and how we need to grow, we look at it from a needs base, and we look at it from the gaps that our communities have. Well, at the Black Church Food Security Network, we look at our communities with an asset-based approach. Switch to the next slide, please. So our mission is we co-create sustainable food systems across the United States, anchored by Black churches, working in partnership with Black farmers and small business owners, right? So I mentioned we use an asset-based approach for collective work, and we look at the ways that God has already blessed us. So we ask the question, what do we have? What do we have as Black churches? We got a lot of people, we have large networks, many churches have lots of land. We have church kitchens, right? Many of which are commercial kitchens. We have church vans and ways to move people. All of these assets, the list goes on and on. Sometimes these assets are maybe only being used once a week, right? So as the Black Church Food Security Network, we re-envision how we can use these assets that we already have within our network. Sorry, go back to the previous slide. Yeah, we look at how we can use the assets that we already have with several key programs. The first program is our ARC program, which I mentioned, where we connect with farmers all across the East Coast. We have over 100 Black farmers within our network and over 200 Black churches that are all organized for the health, wealth, and power of our community, right? And so how can we connect these Black farmers? The sister that went before me mentioned that in 2023, what are some of those gaps that our food system is going to, that our food system might have, right? And so by connecting with Black farmers, connecting churches with Black farmers, we reimagine ways that we see the food system that takes out the grocery store, right? We don't have to worry about those bland tomatoes. We instead can have all sorts of varieties of tomatoes that our farmers are growing that some people never knew existed. I mentioned that I'm a market organizer for a farmer's market, and I'll tell you a quick story. And so, has anybody ever had like an heirloom tomato? Really big, really juicy tomatoes, right? And so part of the work that we do is not just kind of connecting farmers with distribution methods and doing markets at churches, but it's the education piece, right? And so I'm at a farmer's market, and it's this beautiful purplish red tomato, most beautiful tomato I've ever seen. My mouth was watering looking at it. And someone walked by and they said, "Ooh, that tomato looks like it shouldn't have made it out the store." And I said, "Excuse me? I beg your pardon?" But that connection to land and our food, there's such a gap that we think that what we see in the grocery store is what our food is supposed to look like. People don't know there's over 70 different varieties of tomatoes, right? And so how do we continue to build that connection with the land, build that connection and understanding of our food? So we have the ARC program, which I mentioned. We also do soil to sanctuary markets. And so we host farmers markets right after church, right? What do you all do? Typically on Sunday after church, what are you all doing? You gotta eat. There you go. That's the number one thing, right? So if you already have to eat, why not bring the farmers to the churches and the small businesses to church after church and make sure you have some healthy alternatives, make sure that we're supporting Black businesses after churches as well. We also have what's called the local coordinating committees, and our local coordinating committees are right now in Jacksonville in the Baltimore, Maryland area. And so our local coordinating committees connect with churches and help them on any type of agricultural projects that they have. And we actually donate $500 to any church that joins our mission and has an agricultural-based project. So as I mentioned, Black Church Food Security Network, sorry, you can go to the next slide. So we're a network of Black churches organized to advance the wealth, health, power, and power of our people. Next slide. So I want to talk about, I mentioned that we help with community gardens, and I want to talk a little bit briefly about what a community garden is. And it's important to me to share this with the church because a lot of our churches are getting smaller and smaller, right? And by implementing a community garden, we've seen that churches are able to expand outside of their walls. They're able to bring new people in and re-envision and reinvigorate their congregation. So community garden, anybody wanna, let's make this a little interactive. Anybody wanna, what do you think a community garden is? Yes.
So it's a garden that involves community, community has input, communities can answer, community goes food, community share.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's correct. Anybody else want to take a stab at it? Collective sharing, that is wonderful. Anybody else want more? Nobody? Okay, so you can go to the next slide. Those were great. A place where that can be urban or suburban, it can be rural, where you're growing flowers, vegetables. It can be one plot or a community plot. It can be at a school, at a hospital, in a neighborhood. I've seen some community gardens on the roof of buildings, right? If you all remember, I know somebody mentioned my father's side of the family is from South Carolina. And so I remember when my grandma moved to DC, she always had a garden in her backyard and she was growing tomatoes in her community gardens can exist in all different types of ways. In the next slide, I'm not sure if he'll be able to show you, but it's a clip. Yep, it's a video. Are you going to be able to play it? It's a video, really quick video of one of the first community gardens that I participated in Cottage City. I don't know if we'll be able to play that slide. So we'll go right on to we'll go on to the next slide, benefits of the community garden. Awesome. So both of the sisters talked about, it's something that I feel when I put my hands in the dirt, right? And it's not just something, it's proven, right? So there are so many physiological impacts of community gardens. Reduces the risk of obesity and obesity-related diseases. Improves mental and promotes relaxation. Increases physical activity through maintenance activities. So you were out there shoveling that garden. It's been proven that gardening for an hour can burn from 200 to 800 calories, right? And so all of these ways that we're not just improving ourselves, but improving our community, improving our congregation. I know Dr. Brown talks about, Dr. Brown was our executive director. He talks about, he just got tired of going to visit his church members at the hospital for the same sorts of things that are preventable, right? And so these are some of the benefits that we see by working in community gardens. Helping your body fight off diseases, enjoying the breeze, birds chirping, feeling the soil in your hands. There are when you put your hands in the soil, there's organisms in good soil that have shown to play a positive role in gut health, in brain health, depression, lightening your mood and anxiety. So there are so many physiological benefits to community garden, which is why we urge our church members to just put your hands in the land, just get on the land. Next slide, please. And so this is one of the reasons where we found in our church that community gardening has really taken on a benefit. That intergenerational education and involvement, right? And so at our community garden, you'll see members as young as 2 and as old as 80 or 90. We build beds in our garden that are accessible, handicap accessible, so anybody can use them. They're up really high, so people don't have to bend over. We create enough space that if you're in a wheelchair, you can come into the garden and participate as well. It expands beyond the church walls. So as I mentioned, I'm a member of Gethsemane United Methodist Church, and we have 17 acres of land. Our church sits on 17 acres of land. And so as a part of our initiative to grow a garden, we started to invite people in. We had workshops, like canning workshops, like you mentioned, right? We had workshops like a foraging workshop. Does anybody know what foraging is? Yes. So she mentioned our grandmothers, our grandparents didn't go to CVS and get their medicine, right? That's because they had a connection with the land, right? And so they could look at certain plants and say, okay, this is going to heal your stomach for your tummy ache, or this is going to help your headache, or if you take a little bit of this and you chew it up and rub it on the wound, this is going to close that wound up and stop the bleeding, right? And so we had a foraging event at our church. At the foraging event, we put it on Eventbrite. Now, I go to a church that maybe has 50, maybe 70 people. The foraging event, we had people walking down Addison Road from the metro station to come to our church that had never seen this church before, walking around our church lane. What does that mean to be able to grow your community and your congregation in that type of way? The picture in the middle is our foraging event. We hosted, the picture on the left-hand side is when we hosted a workshop for children called Dirt Doesn't Hurt. And so we were able to bring the children in and teach them about gardening. And that picture on the right, once we had the garden established and set up, we did a movie night in the garden. So all of these different ways that you can involve community just by putting seeds in the ground. Next slide, please. What happens when you commit to growing a garden at your church? So I just talked about it. Next slide, the pictures. So these are some of all the great pictures that you see in the top left. This is the Black Church Food Security Network visited New Birth Baptist Church in Georgia, and we got to visit with some of their gardeners at their community garden. On the left there is Miss Fanny, and like Dr. Brown says, every church has a Miss Fanny, somebody that's willing to go out and lead the charge, and so she leads their garden there. In the middle with all of those beautiful mustard greens and kale, that's Mr. Phillip, and he's a part of a community garden and urban garden incubator in Upper Marlboro. At the bottom left, you'll see a picture that's me in that tie-dye hoodie right there, and I'm working with some children in District Heights, and I'll say briefly, we were starting our seedlings for the spring, right? So all the kids, their garden is in the middle of the atrium, right? And so I would go there every week, sometimes when the gardening season started, a few times a week. And right where we are, there was a shooting there this summer as we were gardening, right? And so just the benefits of having those children be able to come out and have a safe space to garden and put their hands in the ground and grow their own food, and just to have that excitement when sometimes they don't have that, feeling of security and safeness. There's a picture of flowers there with our church in the background, and so every Sunday we would cut flowers from our garden and bring them in the church and put out some vegetables for everyone to take. And then at the top right there, you'll see Miss Rosa. She's one of our church members, so we were able to take some tomatoes and some tomatoes and peppers from our garden, and we hosted a canning workshop and made salsa, right? And so all of these ways that you can involve community, and at the Black Church Food Security Network, our goal is to be able to use all of these assets that we already have for our health, wealth, and power. Next slide. You can skip these. Skip this one and go to the next slide. All right, so if you all would like to learn more about the Black Church Food Security Network, this is our website. You can scan that. If you'd like to volunteer with us, if you'd like to connect with our farmers or order food from Black farmers within our network, we have people that make stone ground grits. We have people that make that sell honey from their bees, all sorts of produce, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida to New York. And if you'd like to connect with me directly, my email is up there, ashley@blackchurchfsn.net. And then if you'll go to the next slide, these are just a couple pictures from our garden, from some of our gardens. That's some spinach. Look how beautiful that is. Got some cabbage, some zucchini, a squash. That one looks like it might be dying. It's sunflower seeds, so if you'll stop right there. So I posted this picture on my Instagram, right? Now I already said it so you all know what it is, but just to show you how we need to be more connected. I posted it and somebody said, "Is that a porcupine?" I said, "What? That's sunflowers." And they're like, "Oh, is this where sunflower seeds come from?" I'm like, "Yes." You roast them, you grow the flower, and then you roast the seeds. So it's been an awesome journey learning how to grow your own food, being able to share and distribute. Next slide. I think this might be the last one. And these are just some pictures from some of our community gardens. So thank you for letting me be able to share, and I look forward to connecting with you all.
Everybody, let's give Maisha, let's give Sonia, and let's give this extra good please all of them. We're moving forward, and we're going to move quickly because you don't want to miss Bible C. The griot is coming in just a moment or so. Before we do that, we're going to receive our offering at this time. We have expenses all week to put this on and make this happen, and we need everybody to play their part. I'm going to ask that everyone who will share $5 tonight as we prepare to give. Right after this, we're going to bring the griot to share with us on tonight. sure you're going to be blessed. One of the things that has been a part of our culture and our history is storytelling. I know my grandmother and my mother used to tell us some stories. We sit around, and I think that's where I got my love for popcorn from, because I understand, this is how things in your genes can jump from one generation and go 2 or 3 and go to the next. My great-great-grandfather used to grow his popcorn, and they would cook it every night and gather all 13 of his children, and they would tell them stories. And it skipped over 2 generations and landed on me, because popcorn is my favorite food on the earth. And but I want us to stand real quick and do this before we bring on Baba C. I want us to get an offering in our hands, and I want us to consecrate that gift tonight for this work that we're going. This is 46 years, y'all. In 2023, Sister Sonia was talking about what these projections are for 2023 so far as the food prices. That in itself is enough for everyone to glean from what has been shared here tonight. If you got to grow something in your windowsill, if you got to grow it on your front porch or your back porch or your backyard or wherever, or participate in the Union Temple Farm Project, our Eugene Farm, and be a part of the effort to grow some food so that we can take care of our own selves and feed ourselves. Read after me, would you please, with an offering in your hand. Success, wealth, health, prosperity are mine in 2023. I will grow some food. I will work the land. I will do for self. This is our prayer, which is an affirmation. Amen. Please come to Maria as you're directed at this time quickly. Let's do this quickly so that Baba can come. He's got a great tale for you tonight. I'm telling you, he was practicing before we got started. Almost. Come on, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, everybody. 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 Can you hear me, Mike? Okay. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Brothers and sisters, family, it is my privilege, it is my opportunity to share with you in presentation one of the great widows, not only in America, but in the world. In the person of Baba C. Calendar, we're going to receive him at this time. Give up your hand, please.
Whoa. I usually have no problem going straight to what I do, but I've been humbled this evening. The ladies that talked before me, us, the royal me, right? The one that talked, the information was so hands-on, pun intended. Yeah. And it incorporated at least 2 of the principles of Kwanzaa. Ujima, collective work and responsibility, aka teamwork, and Ujima, which is cooperative economics. Within the Black community, we have the power to overcome poverty, homelessness, and medical inequalities. We have that power. We are a multi-trillion-dollar commodity to this country. $1 trillion. $1 trillion. One of the things that I'm encouraged with is how this church and its affiliate churches come together to help address the needs of the community. So instead of talking about the woes and how we don't do, let's always talk about the things we do. Let's talk about the things we're doing, the things we're growing into doing, and how we can become self-efficient. Yeah. And just remember that you know who is at our backs trying to make sure we don't. But we won't let him keep us from being successful. Let me change the temper just a little bit. They made a mistake. They gave me a mic. If you know me, you know what that means. They gave me a mic. So I'm going to go between this one and this one. I'm ending the year with a blessing. And I began my year, 2 months into the year, with a blessing. I'm ending with a blessing of the story I'm about to share with you. And it's interactive, so I may be calling on some of you to help me out. Early this year, I was invited to Marrakesh, Morocco, to participate in their premier international storytelling festival. It was awesome. We had over 20 global tellers from the four corners of our very round world, and we also interacted with the local tellers. I fell in love with Morocco, and I think Morocco fell in love with me. They invited me back. They invited me back. So I'm going back in February of 2023, and they have me come out before the festival begins, and I'm staying a few days after the festival begins, and they're talking about me doing some residencies in addition to the storytelling. So this time around, we're going to have over 50 international global tellers, and I'll be representing the United States. Last year, I was the only person from the United States. I had to go to Africa to be an American. Think about that. Because here we're African Americans, and I have no problem with that. Because I cleave to my heritage. I went to Africa, and I was the American. That's right. And they told me when you go out and haggle with the people in the various stores, when you go out and haggle with the merchants, try not to sound like an American. Because in Africa, if you're an American, you're automatically rich. And they give you the highest prices they can get away with. But anyhow, I've been invited back. And I'm going to say this little bit, then I'm going to go into my presentation. I've been invited back, and I have a GoFundMe set up, and I need some help. Yeah, I know. I groaned when I said it. So if you can find it in your hearts and your wallets, or your credit cards, or your cash apps, you can find me. All you have to do is Google Baba Seat Storytelling. A lot of good stuff will pop up. If it's not good stuff, it's not me. And the GoFundMe should pop up. And if not, Nana knows how to reach me. But anyhow, I really want to go back. I'm going back. Amtrak doesn't go to Marrakesh, but I'm going back to Marrakesh if I have to walk. And that's a long, cold, wet walk. Yes, it is. I'd rather not do it. But anyhow, that's that. And now I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Zion, I may call upon you, okay? All right. This story, when it was first told, was told a long time ago. That's a long time. This story is older than Nana and I put together. This story, when this story was first told, there was no cable television. There was no internet. And there was no, you know what, if you had a phone, that meant you had a drum. Think about that. This fell throughout West Africa. In Africa, spots can grow to be bigger than my hand. But it's still small compared to the giraffe. Still small compared to the gorilla. And I know what you're saying, the word is gorilla, but if I saw something that big enough to be coming after me, I'd go real fast to get away from it. He was a, some eat, to eat, and to eat some more. He either just finished eating, was about to eat, or was eating. But he lazy fella. That's beyond love. They loved their father. And one day he went for a walk. Hey, come on. One day he went for a walk. He was gone so long, the children began to get worried. Thank you. You might be playing more than one character. Here's the mic. Look at me. And all you got to do is do what I say do. Sometimes I'm going to laugh, and I'm laughing at you, and laughing at what I have to do, okay? Say okay. No, say it to me. Say okay. Okay, here we go. So Anas was gone so long, one of his children said, "Where is our father?" Let's go on.
Where is our father?
Where is our father?
Where is our father?
Our father, right. And the children looked around, everybody repeated after me, "I don't know."
Wrong.
Something must be wrong.
Something must be wrong.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Everybody, I don't know. And whenever you see me do this, you have to go, I don't know. Now, let me tell you the names of his children. There was Organizer, there was See Far Away, there was Dancer, there was Stone Thrower, there was Road Builder, there was River Drinker, and there was Game Hunter, who they called Hunter for short. Actually, they called Hunter whatever he told them to call him, but that's another story. So Organizer was the oldest, and he said, I have an idea. And whenever you hear me say, I have an idea, you have to go, figures! I have an idea. Figures! And then he said, See Far Away? Come here. And so See Far Away came here. He said, See Far Away, did you see far away? See how far away you can see far away? So See Far Away, so far away that way, See Far Away, so far away that way, See Far Away, so far away that way, that way, that way, that way, and then See Far Away there. Everybody go, where? Where? Over there. Say, I don't see anything. I don't see anything. That's because he's far away. Everybody go, oh! We got to go get down. We got to get farther. See Far Away, what's happening? Oh no! Oh no! Everybody say, what are we going to do?
Now do something quick.
He said, Dancer, dance for us. And so Dancer, only Dancer, float up in the air. And we're too slow.
We're too slow.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
I have an idea. He said, Stone Thrower, and Stone Thrower came. Stone Thrower just happened to have a stone in Stone Thrower's hand. He said, Stone Thrower, I want you to take that stone, and I want you to knock that eagle out the sky and free our father. So Stone Thrower took that stone, pulled it back, and threw it. And that's right, that's the sound he made. And it went, do that sound again. That's right. And went pop, right between the eyes of the eagle. And the eagle dropped a nonsense. Everybody go, oh no! Oh no! Say, Father is falling.
Father is falling.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
I have an idea. And he said, Dancer, stop dancing. So Dancer stopped dancing, the dancer only dancing, the dancer stopped dancing, the dancer only dancing, the dancer. The children of the nonsense began to start slowly floating toward the ground. What are we going to do now?
What are we going to do now?
I have an idea. And he said, Road Builder, come hither. I've always wanted to say that. Come hither. And so Road Builder came forth, and because there was no path to get from where they were to where Nancy had fallen. And so he said, Stone, he said, build us a road and take us to where we want to go. And so Road Builder began to build a road. Thum, 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 thum. Come on, down to that. Thum, 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 thum. Keep it up. Gotta be starting thum, thum. Gotta be starting thum, thum. And they built a road all the way to the edge of the river where Anansi fell from the sky and went splash. Everybody go bloop, bloop, bloop. Everybody go. Ew, say it, don't say it.
Father's falling in the water.
Father,
Father,
falling in the water.
falling in the water.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
But before organizers could say anything, a great big fish would come up and swallow the nonsense. Oh, let me go. Oh, no! He said, river drinker, come forth. And river drinker came forth. He said, river drinker, drink this river dry. And so river drinker, you can't work. Okay, that's all right. I asked him because whenever I have someone burp, it's the smallest guys that get the biggest burps. So he said, so river drinker came forth and began to drink the river. Sounds like something God would do. The river drinker drank so much river, the river was dry. That's what I said. I wasn't sure that was going to come out. Father is in the fish.
Father is in the fish.
Father!
Father is in the fish.
Dad, just give me slang it's all right for that, okay? All right. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Oh, I have an idea! And he said, Hunter, come here! And when Hunter stepped forward, all of his brothers and sisters stepped back because Hunter looked hungry. Because Hunter was always hungry. One time Hunter was so hungry, he ate up the entire Sahara forest. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Sahara is a desert. It is now. He said, Hunter, jump down that river, grab that fish, and save Bob. Hunter looked at his brother like he had lost his mind. And then organizer remembered he had to have good manners. He said, please. So Hunter took out his machete. Back then, he never left home without it. You'd rather be the hunter than to be the hunted. He jumped down into the riverbed, he grabbed the fishing, he split it open, and out popped the nonsense. It's about time. What took you so long? I've been inside that fish so long, I smell like a fish market. But then he realized his children had done a lot to save him. He said, we must go home and celebrate. And I'm going to name a child Zion in the future. But anyhow, we must go home and celebrate.
Let's go home and celebrate.
Sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a good idea.
Hunter
Hunter
is not the only one.
is not the only one
Hungry.
hungry.
All right. So Anansi said, Dancer's home. So dancer, only dances, the brightest, the most handsome, the most beautiful children in all the world. That was for you. So he said, I'm going to go outside because I must do something special for my children. Because my children are the brightest, the bestest, the most handsome, the most beautiful, the most wonderful children in the world. So Anansi went outside and he began to pluck a little bit of magic out of the night air. And he made himself a round ball and glowed. He came back inside and said, I have made this round ball that glows in the dark, and I will give it to the children that did the most to save my life. Who deserves the ball that glows in the middle of the night? Real loud. I deserve the ball.
I deserve the ball.
I did the most.
I did the most.
Little brother, have you lost your mind? I'm the oldest. I told everyone what to do. I deserve the ball. Now, when I say I deserve the ball, you all have to say, do not. I deserve the ball. Do not. And when I say do two, you have to say do not. Do two. Do not. Do two. Do not. Do two. Do not. Dancer came up and said, I don't see how you can say that. You going nowhere fast. I danced that dance. I took us to where Baba was before the eagle dropped him out the air. I deserve the ball of light. I deserve the ball of light. Do not. Do two. Do two. Stone throwers and they looked at the stone, and they thought about it, then they worked with their nerves, and they said, do two! Do two! Do two! Road builder stepped up. Y'all silly. Y'all didn't build that road. I took us to Bobby. If it wasn't for my road building skills, we wouldn't have gotten here in time. We wouldn't have had that feast. So I deserve the light. River drinker stepped up. I'm getting good at that. It's your fault. River drinker said, I drank so much river, I can hear the ocean in my belly. I drank that river dry. I deserve the light. I deserve the light. And then Hunter stepped up. And when Hunter stepped up, everybody else stepped back because he looked hungry. Can you look hungry? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Do this. And do this. And do this. Yeah, you look hungry. All right. Hunter said, my machete cut that fish open. I saved Bobby. I saved Bobby. And remember, earlier today, I ate the entire Sahara forest. And they thought about it for a moment. Everybody go, oh snap. Oh snap. Oh snap. Oh snap. Oh double snap. Oh double snap. But then they thought about that beautiful ball of light that glowed in the dark. And they worked with their nerves and they said, I deserve the light. And they said, I do too. Do too. Now, when I do this, say do two. When I do this, say do not. Do two. Do not. Do two. Do not. Do two. Do not. Do two. Do not. Do not. And I said, whoa. I do not want you to argue. I tell you what, all of you did something to help save me. So, he went to each of his children and he took a little bit of magic. Took a little bit of magic. Took a little bit of magic. Took a little. And the youngest a little bit of magic, and he put it in the great big ball, and the light began to grow and grow and grow. He stepped outside, and the light grew and grew, and then he flung it in the air. And he flung it so hard, it went up to the night sky, and it got stuck. Now, usually at this point, I look out the audience, and I ask the adult to tell me, what is that big ball of light that glows in the dark at night? But I was at a school, and the teacher said, the sun. The teacher and I had a talk after the show. So, anybody know what that big ball of light is that glows at night? You know what it is? Yeah, say it.
The moon.
Say the moon.
The moon.
Okay? So say, that big ball of light.
The big ball of light.
That glows in the dark.
That glows in the dark.
Is the moon.
Is the moon.
Right. And to this day, when we look up at night, on a full moon, we see a reminder that Anansi's children exemplify the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. They became unified emotion. They had been determined to save their father, Kukichagali, self-determination. Ujima, collective work and responsibility, teamwork. And they used their blood and sweat equity for Ujima, which is cooperative economics. Each of them had a gift. Each of them used their gift to award a common cause. Then they had Nia, purpose. And then they had Kaumba, because they used their gifts in a creative way to save their father. But most of all, they had Imani, for we walk not by sight, but by faith. And they had undying faith that would save their father. And to this day, the moon reminds us of the children of Anansi. The children of Anansi! I want you to take this one home with you. This also is an example of the 7 principles. because the 7 principles we're concentrating on for 7 days, but there's something we should live and inspire. 365, we've got a leap year coming up, so it's 366, right? Did I get that right? Okay. So there were 2 friends. They were BFFs. They were the bestest friends in the whole wide world. They built their house together, side by side. And whenever I do like this, you have to say side by side. They built their house. They would cook their meals. They tended to their garden. Oh, they did everything. They even got up early in the morning and got in their boats, and their boats were, and they would take their boats and, now, we think of paddles, but big fishing nets that count their fish. But what happens if you keep going in the refrigerator? They kept going to the same place and fishing and fishing and fishing, and they caught less and less and less and less fish. By the way, I should tell you the name of these 2 people, these 2 best buddies. They were named You and Me. So you and me went fishing every day, caught fish every day, sold fish every day, cooked their meals every day. But you and me, they kept going to the same place, and they caught less and fewer fish, till one day they only caught 1 fish, just 1 fish. And when they got back to their home, you and me looked at the fish, and me said, we only have 1 fish, what are we going to do? And you said, I get the body, you get the head. And me said, that's not fair. And you said, did you get the fish? No. Caught the fish. So you get the head, you get the body, me get the head. I get that mixed up, didn't I? Me get the body, you get the head. Well, it's not fair! And they began to argue. And every time I say, me get the body, you say, that's not fair. Me get the body. Me get the body. Did you get the fish? No. Then me get the body. They argued so much, they had never argued before. They were best friends for everything. And so the people in the village people, not to be confused with band, that's another story. The village people went and they got the village elder, not the village idiot, the village elder. And the village elder's name was Usly. And Usly heard them argue. He said, stop your arguing. I think I can solve this. Will you agree to follow my decision? Yes. Yes. You give me your word, you will follow and abide by my decision. Yes. Yes. Then this is what I've decided. Us, we get the body, me get the tail, you get the head. Everybody go, that's not fair. You agreed to abide by my decision. That is my decision. Us, we get the body, you get the head, me get the tail. And at that moment, the people in the village had an aha moment. Everybody go, aha. And they understood what was happening. See, this story is it an allegory or a metaphor? That's another story for another time. In this story, another principle of Kwanzaa, several principles of Kwanzaa come to light. You see, there are many things that you can do, and there are many things that we can do, and that's okay. But when we come together, when we put our minds together, when it comes down to us, there is nothing we cannot do. Asante.
Look up and see hand. What a wonderful night, what a wonderful presentation. All of these presentations have been wonderful. Let us stand quickly as we prepare to close out tonight, form a quick circle. And we're going to close with Harambe 7 times. We just connect ourselves together. And we're going to close with Harambe. We're going to shout the word Harambe 7 times. Can we close the ceremony quickly? We went a little over time tonight, but it was well worth it. What a powerful night. What a powerful night. Wonderful presentation from Papa C and from these beautiful sisters who shared with us on tonight. Tomorrow night is another big night. We have 2 father-son combinations. Faith to do for self. Each of them are business owners. They'll talk about it. And then we have 2 go-go bands who will be playing on tomorrow night. And we're going to be dancing and celebrating in the African tradition. It's going to be a great night. Don't miss it on tomorrow night. All right. I'll join hands together. We're just going to close with Harambe 7 times. We're going to raise our hands 7 times and shout the word Harambe at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Harambe! 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 Blessings to you. Please see you on tomorrow.